I am sure at this point most people have seen the numbers as they try to empirically make sense of what it is just happened after a season of basketball. Changing of the guard from Durant and LeBron and now Tatum and the Greek Freak and everybody else have to go through a creature, unlike Jimmy Butler, who every single game gives you the same thing so joylessly that he's the first player ever to lead the entire playoffs in points, rebounds, and assists. It's never happened before.
And yawns.
And you say yawns for you. I say yawns for him because I'm telling you, the single most fascinating thing to me about all of it, even when faced with an unprecedented player, is his reaction to it afterward as they kept going back to his homeland. And I think a Serbian cafeteria of some sort. I don't even know what it was, but it was a smattering of people that were in the home country. That Jokic just won the championship, and his immediate reaction is, when the hell can I get home? I am so done with the domination of this league. Please get me home. I don't want to do a parade. Just get me home. I'm tired of work.
You said after the Lakers win, you said you were surprised that you didn't feel more. So I'm curious what you are feeling right now, and if you're looking forward to a parade coming up in Denver.
When is parade? When is parade?
Thursday.
No. I need to go home. Okay.
He actually ran his hand through his forehead and hair in a frustration that he has to stay in this country for 2 more days, probably because of what Mike was just near. He wants back to his country safer. It's just better.
Dan, we've all been there. You're out with your friends. Your buddy said, I'll drive you home. I'll drive you home. It's getting late. You know your mom's going to kill you. And say, hey, we're going to go to one more spot. And then we're going to like, oh, guys, I got to get home. I got to go home.
So that feeling is what you felt like winning a championship? Like I enjoyed watching the Nuggets be normal and celebrate a lifetime achievement and like a franchise's achievement. And every time the camera went to Jokic, I was like, pretend to be happy for me, please.
Seriously, 56 years.
It's a first time ever after one of these championships that you can't go to the cliche, well, he just wanted it more.
You buzzsawed right through.
He wanted nothing to do with it.
In 5 games, you buzzsawed through, wanted it more, and left in tatters the reputation of Jimmy Butler. Just sliced it up because they needed something from Jimmy in that game. It was there for the taking. That is the best that all of them can be defended. The Heat just did the championship job that you have to do to Denver, and the wheels came off of Jimmy at the end. I mean, they just came off. It's jumping into the paint. I want to assist. I don't want to keep jumping into this giant person.
He actually played well at the end.
I mean, Stugotz, whatever.
It's a little late for it, but he made it a game. I mean,
the greatest testament to this 44-win team being in the finals was that they almost won an NBA Finals game shooting 35% from the field. That is insane. But to the Jokic point, that sound goes on, and like that's the soundbite that's going to live forever, that everyone's going to joke about. It's very funny. But he goes on and says basically, this is not the most important thing in my life. Like, this is nice. I've won it now, but I'm not. This is not life-changing for me. And he says, and this is my favorite line. He says, I mean, everyone hates their job, right? And at that moment, I realized, holy shit, he not only doesn't want it more than you, he doesn't want it at all.
The reluctant goat.
The Miami Heat just lost to a team that went 5 for 28 from 3.
Yeah, they're going to be kicking themselves, I'm sure, because Denver, that was not a championship-winning performance. They were kind of dying to give that game away, and that game could have been totally stolen by Miami and extended, and you don't know what happens when that team that's never been there before has to face a Game 6 on the road, and maybe you have a change in momentum. But I wasn't – I mean, I'm certainly impressed with Jokic for my mind, and keep in mind, I've only watched him for 5 games, but he's the best big man I've ever seen.
I totally disagree with you. I thought Denver took an extension cord and wrapped it around the Heat's neck and just tightened it. The Heat could not find find an opening to get shots off. And you say, oh, we don't know if a team was never been there before. What happens in that situation? They blew the lead. They went down one, and then they made every play. They not only made every defensive play, they made the shots. Michael Porter Jr. couldn't hit a shot, save his life, hit the big one. KCP couldn't hit a shot, save his life.
That was not a great Denver game,
But it wasn't. It wasn't.
Good.
But when you say, oh, we don't know how they reacted to that situation, we saw how they reacted at the end of Game 5. They could have collapsed very easily. Instead, they made all the right plays, and the biggest play of them all, Bruce Brown,
yes,
offensive
again
rebound.
on Strus.
Huge.
Again on Strus.
Ball
The
watching.
Derek White thing, it was Strus watching, and also Strus missing the corner three that he had that was wide open. Regardless, we can get to the details of the game. Denver was better clearly, and their best player is an immortal. Is putting up numbers that are insane, and Miami did, through great deal of want and hustle, slowed him as best can be slowed. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that somebody who's not from America just won the big American trophy and doesn't want to spend 2 more days here to drink and enjoy the festivities. Every game we asked him, hey, this stat line, we've never seen it before. How do you feel about that? And his answer is like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Yeah, okay.
I mean, look at how he approaches spraying champagne.
Joylessly.
Everything is joyless about that guy. And I think there's plenty of time to sing his praises, and I do. But I do want to buck up against something that Amin said when he said that the shots weren't there.
Come on.
There was a recipe for Miami to beat them, and I, for the life of me, don't understand how the shots were there at the rim for Max Strus and Duncan Robinson, but they weren't there for someone who historically lives at the line, who didn't even look to go up. There was one late turnover where he pivoted, and he even had Bam wide open. He was so in his own head. It should be noted that he probably did the lying thing after the postgame where he said his ankle is totally fine. I hope to God he is lying about that.
But Mike,
because if that was a mental thing, that changes the prism that we view one of the great playoff performers forever.
Yeah, but he's so hard to get upset at, Jimmy Butler, because you're not playing in the NBA Finals. You're not in that situation without Jimmy Butler. It's very confusing as to what we do with this postseason run.
Stugotz, they played their best stretch of ball with him off the floor.
Mike, I understand that, but he's the reason you're in that spot in the first place. He had legendary games.
And not only that, Stugotz, he's the reason you're in that spot at the end of the game because he reached a point where he said, oh, bleep, we're going to lose if I don't do something. And he starts hitting threes. He gets to the free throw line. He gets those 3 free throws in the corner. He hits that short jumper to put them up 1. He started to do the same thing he did in Game 6 against the Celtics, which is play like crap for 3.5 quarters and then turn it on and try to pull it out.
But, I mean, isn't the, oh, bleep, we're going to lose this thing moment in Game 3?
Oh, I mean, sure.
Game 4. I mean, and we got to address, the Zeller minute. Because Spoelstra was trying to protect the legs of that closing lineup, and he made the biggest mistake. This is a guy that didn't want to bring in Tyler Hero cold. So what does he do? Bring in Cody Zeller cold, and they, to the tune of a -5 differential in a game that the point differential was 5. The game was arguable. I know there were moments that they could have executed down the stretch that they didn't, but you could point to that 61-second stretch and say that decision by Spo ultimately was too much to overcome.
Look, it was not a good one. The other question I asked after every game since Game 2, Game 3, Game 4, and Game 5, why isn't Highsmith playing? He was one of their best players in the first 2 games, and then all of a sudden, out of the rotation completely.
Okay, I need to stop all of you, though, because I'm not going to watch what I watched from Jokic and have you tell me how Highsmith was going to change what happened.
Jokic was bored by Jokic.
Okay, but before you just go down this path and we go into the minutia of all the ways the game was lost at the end when the Heat are supposed to be good in close games, and Kyle Lowry does that against Aaron Gordon because they're suffocated, where Aaron Gordon is just throwing the ball right back into his mouth, because that's what they get at the end of a shot clock. I don't want to do it about the single game. That's what Denver did to the Heat offensively in the games that made a championship defensive effort not be good enough because their offense wasn't good enough, and let's say it, because Jimmy Butler was not good enough. The MVP was playing in those games. The MVP was consistently better than the Heat's best player, and Denver now celebrates with a parade Jokic doesn't want to go to.
So what Mike said was, how is it that Max Strus and Duncan Robinson can get these layups? and Jimmy Butler and Bam can't. There's an element of this is because Denver allowed that to happen. They said, we'll let these guys do that. We're not letting that SOB do what he did to Boston, what he did to New York, and what he did to Milwaukee. And again, kudos to a defense that was middle of the road during the regular season, becoming airtight as the playoffs rolled on, and they got deeper and deeper in the playoffs. They got better and better defensively. We keep wanting to blame Jimmy and blame Spo and blame the Heat and blame the shooters, but there's a part of this where Denver, for the first 2 games, didn't guard anybody. One game, they dodged the bullet because the Heat missed everything. The other game, they didn't. But 3, 4, and 5, they said, enough, and that was it.
Even when they weren't guarding anybody, Jimmy still wasn't going to the line. They had a game in which they had 2 free throws. And I understand what you're saying, and I admit Denver did turn on the defense. They were certainly a better team than they showed in the regular season. Jokic, as great as he is, isn't the inside defensive force that Brook Lopez was. Isn't what Robert Williams is inside. Jimmy Butler had no problem attacking. And you saw there were plenty of moments, be it the pick 6 at the end of the game, the hesitation to even go to a pump fake. Yeah. He was in his own head. Was he in his own head because he didn't trust his body? I don't know. But you said, we all saw it like, oh, God, here comes a Jimmy takeover. And we were all wondering what took so long.
May I stop you guys just for a second? Because I thought to myself, when he got the 3 free throws on the 3, I'm like, man, he got up for that jump shot.
Terrible call.
Holy crap.
I know, but I'm like,
Terrible
no, but
call,
I'm
Bob.
like, okay, terrible call or no terrible call. I'm simply saying, well, those seem to be legs. Like, if we're going to say he doesn't have his legs for
Right.
his jump shot,
Had him there.
those seem to be legs. But what I don't want to do today, I really don't think it's fair. I think it's dumb to take what the Miami Heat did and then to find all the ways to blame them, find all the ways to rip them, find all the ways to have them not be good enough when they weren't good enough. The reason it was such a celebration is because they somehow surprised us all, because we all knew they weren't good enough. And we're like, how the hell are they staying in some of these games? How are they winning these games? I don't want to turn this into a blame fest.
We're just blaming Spo on the 61 seconds of Zeller. I mean, that's it.
And no Highsmith.
There shouldn't be any blame. The Heat had a fantastic postseason run, and they lost to a clearly better team, and even Spo said that after the game.
This is
They had no
improved Dan Le Batard
they
Show
had
with
no
the Stugotz.
solution
Gamble on
for
by
Denver.
DraftKings.
You know, I mean,